Welcome to Impact Signals, Social Impact at the Scale of AI. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Sarah.
It's Tuesday, July 14, 2026, episode 73. Today, Mozambique graduates its first cohort of AI-assisted drone pilots straight into an active 5-zone flood response. Researchers at KAIST show home sensor AI catching cerebrovascular risk weeks before diagnosis. And Microsoft's read on how satellite AI is cutting post-disaster damage assessment from days to hours. We start in Mozambique, where the National Disaster Management Institute just certified 30 local drone pilots, including 10 new instructors, completing a 15-month training program financed by the African Development Bank.
What makes this significant is who's flying them. 10 of the 30 newly certified operators are deploying right now into 5 government-identified high-risk flood zones, running search and rescue support, aerial damage mapping, and water quality monitoring. The training included 10 in-country instructors, so Mozambique's Disaster Institute can certify its next cohort itself, without importing a foreign drone team for the next flood.
The African Development Bank's Korea-Africa Economic Cooperation Trust Fund financed the $967,000 project. Korean partners, Busan Technopark, Hojung Solution, and Pusan National University's drone program built the underlying system, computer vision that helps identify people needing rescue and automatically maps damaged infrastructure from aerial imagery, feeding live video straight to emergency command centers.
The model is the easy part. The hard part is durability after the money runs out. A lot of donor-funded drone pilots fly the foreign technical team home once the grant closes. At roughly $32,000 per certified pilot, this project bought Mozambique 10 in-country instructors, not just 30 licenses. That's the difference between a one-time capability and one that renews itself.
So 30 certified pilots, 10 of them now flying search and rescue and mapping missions across 5 flood zones in Mozambique, funded by a single one-time, under $1 million grant.
For any flood-prone, capacity-constrained country watching this deployment, treat it as a template, not just admiration. Fund the local instructor cohort, not just the pilot licenses, and staff a maintenance and airframe replacement line into year 2, or the drones ground themselves the first time a rotor breaks. That's the design principle worth copying.
Moving to South Korea, researchers at KAIST, the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, published a study this week showing that ordinary home sensor data can flag cerebrovascular disease risk weeks before a diagnosis.
What makes this significant is the accuracy and the data source. The team analyzed 2 weeks of activity, sleep, circadian rhythm, and indoor humidity data from more than 1,200 older adults, and the model separated the 4 weeks before a stroke-related diagnosis from a calmer baseline period with 96.53% accuracy, using sensors already sitting in someone's home, rather than a clinic visit or a wearable someone has to remember to charge.
The researchers publishing in NPJ Digital Medicine, a Nature portfolio journal, frame the tool as an early warning flag, a signal to connect someone to medical care before a stroke happens, built from 4 markers: irregular nighttime activity, less movement in early evening, more inactive time, and low indoor humidity.
For community health workers and elder care programs operating in the field with a stretched clinical workforce, that is the operational opening. A passive home sensor layer that flags risk without requiring a clinic visit or compliance from a wearable. Silent failures are the worst kind. The referral pathway is the safeguard, so verify it before piloting this. If there's no fast route to a clinician when a flag fires, the warning is only as useful as the behavior it changes.
Third signal brief. Microsoft Vice Chair and President Brad Smith described this week how the company combines predictive modeling, satellite imagery, and public data to map connectivity gaps in flood-prone regions before a storm, then rapidly analyze post-event satellite imagery after earthquakes, hurricanes, and wildfires, cutting damage assessment work that used to take emergency responders days down to a few hours.
Treat that days to hours framing as a benchmark to press vendors on, since it comes from an executive interview rather than a named deployment with a location and a date. That's the benchmark, not the deployment. When a vendor pitches AI damage assessment, ask for the actual hours, the actual imagery source, and the region it's been tested in. Mozambique's 30 certified local pilots just gave practitioners a real answer to compare it against.
On the disaster watch, USGS, the U.S. Geological Survey, recorded 2 magnitude 6+ earthquakes in the Pacific this week, 6.4 near Lorengau, Papua New Guinea, and 6.3 southeast of the Loyalty Islands, both green alert with no reported casualties. GDAX, the Global Disaster Alert and Coordination System, still lists an orange alert forest fire active in France, an orange alert flood in China, 12 deaths. 85,197 people displaced as of its July 7th update, and an orange alert drought in Madagascar running since late April with no updated figures this cycle.
The China flood is the one worth watching against today's lead story. GDAC's own most recent figures there are a week old. Connectivity failure is predictable. The same aerial mapping and access gap that Mozambique's drone core was built to close is what's keeping that displacement count stale, and a trained local flight crew feeding live imagery to a command center is exactly the tool that closes it.
Funding Watch, Anthropic's Claude Core Fellowship is open for early career applicants in the U.S., placing fellows with partner nonprofits like the International Rescue Committee, Goodwill Industries, RAIN, and Code for America. $85,000 in salary and benefits per 12-month placement, deadline July 17th for the first 100 fellow cohort. And the UN Climate Technology Center and Networks Adaptation Fund Climate Innovation Accelerator is open for organizations in developing Asia-Pacific countries, up to $150,000 in technical assistance per project, deadline October 7th.
The catch on the Anthropic deadline, July 17th, is 3 days out, and it only covers the first 100 fellow cohort. Later cohorts roll to January and August of next year, so keep watching even if you miss this one. On the other grant, the deadline is the real filter. The UN Accelerator requires an already nominated national designated entity under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change's Technology Mechanism, which rules out most first-time applicants without a government relationship already in place.
The through line today: Mozambique's drone core is a capacity-building story, not a one-off deployment, a template for turning a single donor grant into a workforce that keeps functioning after the money is gone.
3 things to carry forward. Fund the local instructors, not just the licenses. Ask any AI damage assessment vendor to name real hours and a real region, not just the phrase days to hours. And if you're piloting a home sensor health flag, build the referral pathway before you build the sensor network.
That's Impact Signals for Tuesday, July 14, 2026. If this briefing is useful, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out at impactsignals.ai and share it with someone working in the field.
Stay ready.